Hey, wouldn't it be great if you could predict the future? If on the next property that you are going to develop, you'd have an idea of what's coming in the future that you need to be aware of before you buy or develop that next property? Well, in the way you can. And watch the rest of this video to hear a story of a deal that just came to me where the owner's finding out now that it would have been really nice if he could predict the future. Hey, I'm Blake Anderson with Envision Investor Solutions. I'm a builder, real estate developer in Raleigh, North Carolina, and love to help you learn the tools, the tricks to develop your next piece of property. In this video, I'm going to teach you something extremely important, that if you're not doing this, it's part of your due diligence and your homework when you buy your next piece of property. Not only could you be leaving money on the table, you could potentially be setting yourself up for a major failure. Now let me tell you a little story. Had a realtor get connected with us a little while ago, and they said, got a client, got a choice piece of property off a major transit corridor, and they're looking for a builder, developer partner on the deal. They bought the piece of property a couple of years ago. They'd love to build some townhomes, maybe a couple of custom homes in this community. They think they're positioned perfectly for it. Property owner wants to try to make as much money as they can, but they also don't want to be in the deal really long term. They've got all their money sunk in the deal, so ideally they're looking for a partner that can bring the financing to finish the project, and they get to remain as a partner. I said, sounds great. Sounds like the kind of thing that we're interested in, the kind of thing that we develop. Let's meet. I'd love to hear more about this piece of property. So I met with the realtor and we sat down at a coffee shop. She laid out this piece of property. The owner of the property had kind of drawn up a sketch of how they think the land would be laid out, why it's subdivided. She had thoughts about the comps and what was being developed north of the property, what was being developed south along this major corridor. Seemed like a great deal. They had 20 acres. Felt like they could do something really meaningful, and the right kind of development was happening. It's in a county that's north of the main county where all the population density is, and everything is growing up this corridor. And you can just feel the way that the momentum's going, and seemed like just a great ideal project. They'd owned it a couple of years, and so we'd talk through, what the ideal thing that would be built here, what the standard of construction should be, and what the price point they wanted to achieve. And she said, well, where do we go from here? And I said, well, what do you know about the zoning? Well, I don't know if we've talked to the county yet. So you haven't sat down with the county and had any type of pre-submittal or pre-concept meeting, or had a basic phone call to see about whether this type of project would be approved there? No, the owner just brought it to us, and I don't think he's really done much research yet. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this all sounds fine and good. Let me go make a couple phone calls. Let's get back together next week, and we'll see what the county has to say about this grand plan that the owner has. So if you've never developed much property before, you need to know that property is valued based on what you can do with it. And what you can do with a piece of property is dictated by the local municipality. And really, it's the planning department of the county or city government that is laying out the rules of development. And those rules are called the UDO, Unified Development Ordinances. And those UDOs tell you what you can or can't do. And they have things called zoning, which gives different zoning districts that come with different rules and regulations and use cases. And you can't just build whatever you want wherever you want. You got to get approval from the county. And your most likely way of getting approval from the county is when you build the things that they have desired to be built on that property. So yeah, you own the property, and yeah, you have a decision and choices to be made there, and no one can take your property, or can they? But you can't just do whatever you want. You've got to get it approved by by the county government, the planning department. So if you've watched any of my videos or know me personally, you know that before you get too far into any type of land planning or desirability or what you think you could do on that piece of property, there's some initial homework that you've got to do. You need to get on the GIS, you need to look at the shape of the property, and then you need to understand the zoning. And so you're going to consult with the UDO, and then no matter how clearly the UDO seems to state what you can do on that piece of property, the very next thing you're going to do before you go any further is you're going to call the planning or zoning department, and you're going to say, tell me about this piece of property. What is it zoned for? What are the permitted uses? What are the setbacks? What can we do with this piece of property? So that's what I did. I got on the phone and I called the county planning department, and I got a senior planner on the phone, and we talked about this piece of property. And you remember, the owner of this property wanted to build some residential townhomes and custom homes on this piece of property. And I found out really quick that this property wasn't zoned for residential. This property was zoned for business. Residential wasn't approved to be built here, and he owns this property, but all the things that he'd drawn up couldn't legally be built there. But they did state that you could do rezoning for the property. And there were successful rezoning projects just south of us near the county line, and that they had done a mixed use development where they had some office space, some medical space along with the residential, and they had successfully been approved for the rezoning. And he said, you know, this went well. If you design your project similar to this and you make the case that you have a commercial component along with it and you're empowering the live work kind of play model, then we think you could likely be successful. But you're going to need to go present it before the planning board before you can go to the county commissioners for rezoning. Great piece of advice. But the conversation didn't stop there, because what followed was the real issues and red flags that got raised with this deal. That had the owner known these pieces of information, he could have predicted the future. He probably wouldn't have bought this property. So what came next? Well, next, he stated, you got two big issues past the rezoning. As if rezoning wasn't big enough. The two big issues with this property that we can see is, one, this county has limited water and sewer access. And you are not likely to get allocation to the water and the sewer. You will have to be approved to be access to the water and sewer. So there's water and sewer at the street, but we don't have a right to access it. The county is giving access on a limited basis, and we were informed that the commercial would come first and would be given access before the residential. So it's very possible that the planning board would approve our rezoning, but that the Public Works Department would not give us water to it. Problem number one, no guaranteed water and sewer access. Water and sewer is at the street, but you can't touch it. Second problem, every bit as big as the first problem. You see, what this new property owner failed to look into was that there's a long-term plan for this transit corridor. All the counties along this transit corridor had agreed upon a long-term plan with North Carolina Department of Transit to make this state highway into almost an interstate. And right through the middle of this 20 acres is a planned interchange, an exit and entry ramp from this superhighway. And this interchange is going to take almost half of the property right there. Along with that is a road that is going to be extended to connect from one side of the highway to another. Neither of these exist right now, but there is no stopping it. We don't have the date that they'll be built, but you can rest assured they'll be built. And there will be no approved development plan that will happen that doesn't take those into account. Here's the interesting thing. This new highway created will change the access and entry point. Instead of entering from that highway, this property will be accessed through a road that doesn't even exist yet, and the county can't even tell us when they'll build the road. So now this choice property, this ideally located property with the right development and price point happening all around it, has went from a slam dunk to potentially a strikeout. Now we're down in the count. It's not over yet, but we've got many hurdles to jump over to turn this into a successful development project. So what can you learn from this? Well, you learn that the checklist that we use and that we prescribe to buy property is so important. Before you buy a property, you need to use the entire checklist of things. You need to look into the zoning. You need to look into the permitted uses for that zoning. You need to look into the setbacks. You need to look into the water and sewer access, and you need to look into the future. You see, this plan for the future was written and published, easily accessible if you knew about it. But even if you didn't know about it, a quick phone call to the planning department would have uncovered this plan. He could have predicted the future, and my guess is this owner wouldn't have bought that property to begin with. I hope this helps you on your next deal. I want to see you be successful in your real estate development. And if there's anything I can do to help, DM me. Hit me up, and I'd love to send you our unique deal evaluation checklist. Hopefully help you buy your next successful deal and save you all this cost to the school of hard knocks that we've had to pay over the years.